To work the cabled cast on, you need 2 needles and your yarn. Since this is a cast on that uses yarn from the actual working yarn and not the tail, you do not need to leave a long tail long enough, 6 to 8 inches, to weave in at the end. Go ahead and start with a slip knot. Put the slip knot on the needle. I can actually get that myself. Okay, put the slip knot on the needle. Then make sure you're not using the tail, using the working yarn. Pick up your other needle and knit that slip knot. Leave your yarn, new stitch that you just made, on your right needle, so that way you can bring it up and put it on to your left needle. So now you have 2 stitches, the first slip knot and then the stitch that you just knit. To do a cable cast on, you will take your right hand needle and insert it all the way through between those 2 stitches. So you are not going into either of these stitches, you are going in the space between these stitches. So insert your needle, wrap the yarn, and pull that new stitch through. Same way you went onto this needle, move that stitch to your left hand needle. You do not want to pull very tight here, because if you do, you won't be able to insert your needle in that space between. So you can pull it a little tight, but not so tight that you can't get through. So once again, insert your needle, the space between those last 2 stitches, wrap your yarn, pull the new stitch through, mount it on your left needle. Tighten a little bit, or even better, you can leave it a little loose. Insert your needle again between those 2 stitches, and then you can tighten just a little bit before you wrap your yarn. Pull it through and place it back on your left hand needle. Insert your needle, tighten just a little, wrap, pull through, place it on your needle. And you continue doing that until you have the number of stitches that you need to cast on. One thing you may have noticed is the way that I am putting the stitch onto the left hand needle. So again, you insert between the stitches, pull through a new stitch, and I have been putting my stitches on this way, where my 2 needle tips are crossing one another. You can do it that way, or you could decide to mount it the other way and take your stitch and make it where your 2 needles, instead of crossing, are parallel, and pull it through. That basically, each one sets the mount a little bit differently, so you might want to play around with it and see which one you like better, which one you like the look of. But the most important thing is that you stay consistent. If you start out mounting the stitches that way, don't mount some of the stitches this way, because then you'll get, instead of this nice even line, it'll start to look jagged and wiggly. So make sure you are consistent. So pick one way that you like best and stick with it. And there is my cast on, the cable cast on. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I am Karen Dawn on Ravelry and Karen Dawn Knits on Instagram. Thanks, and happy knitting.